majoring in biological psychology, and I have a minor in biology and English, and I play volleyball and lacrosse.
A little history about interracial couples. In 1664, Maryland passed the first British colonial law banning marriage between whites and slaves.
In 1691, the Commonwealth of Virginia bans all interracial marriages. And in 1780, Pennsylvania was the first to repeal a law that banned interracial marriages in 1725. Sorry.
In 1967, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in the Loving versus Virginia case that marriage across racial lines was legal throughout the country.
And in 2000, Alabama becomes the last state to officially legalize interracial marriage.
What?
Yeah.
Oh. In 2015, 10% of all married Americans were married to someone of a different race or ethnicity.
11% of white newlyweds are now married to someone of different race or ethnicity. White people are still the least likely of all major racial or ethnic groups to intermarry.
And black newlyweds, meanwhile, have seen the most dramatic increase of any group from 5% in 1980 to 18% today.
And there's a growing norm becoming more accepted as years go on.
So we have like some frequently asked questions that people ask us. We haven't really talked to anybody else that's like interracial in an interracial relationship about like questions or anything that they get asked recently. So we just kind of put our own. Was it weird when our parents met? Personally, no. Like,
I mean, I was nervous, but it wasn't really that. It wasn't bad.
yeah.
I mean, I was nervous. Being the dad, I was.
I mean, I was nervous too because Elijah. Besides him, I dated white people. I only had one other boyfriend besides him, so I don't know. My mom's pretty open, so it really wasn't that bad for me. Have you always been interested in?
No, I have not always been into Caucasian women. I have tested the waters and I found a good one.
I never really thought about it. I've always played sports, and I never really thought about relationships until later in high school, and I only had one other boyfriend. So I am open to anybody. What do our friends think?
I should have been together. I'm so serious.
People do say that a lot.
Yeah.
Alright, have we ever ran into problems with people in the public? Like strangers or anything?
No. We haven't when we were together. But our parents have both, like, we've had the talk, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like, be careful because, especially in Danville, just because there are a lot of people who don't care about what other people think and will definitely throw their opinion out. I've heard stories, and we're thankful that it hasn't happened to us, but I guess we're prepared if it does. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have some discussion questions. So, go ahead.
Alright, do you think interracial marriages have a positive or negative effect in the community? Go ahead.
Hello everyone, I'm Jasmine. I'll take this question from my perspective. I was married before, I'm divorced now, and I was married to their father. He's Puerto Rican from New Jersey. His whole family speaks Spanish, and they're all Puerto Rican. And I don't think there's no interracial couples before I came into the picture. His sister used to date black men, but their mother didn't like it. So it was kind of a twofold thing. When I came into, because first we're two different faith. You know, his family was Catholic, raising up. My family's Christianity. So, and I met him in the military. So, in the military, the perspective of our relationship was oh, you got two Marines that are dating, they're married, but then you have the black male military men that were attracted to me. They would say slurs like, oh, we not good enough for you. You know, you got to go out, you know, with this Puerto Rican dude. And then from my view from his family, it kind of felt awkward because, you know, in the military, you don't really necessarily have the opportunity all the time to get to know someone or meet their family, and because you're working and you're traveling and you're deployed a lot. So it was kind of like when I got married, it was kind of like rushed. So I had to like open my eyes up to, boom, I'm with a Puerto Rican, boom, his family this way, my family this way, and our families never even intermingled with one another, you know. So there was positivity because I learned something new, I learned something different. My culture, his culture blended together, but the negative, so there was positivity in it. The negative aspect of it was being accepted because I'm light skinned, I'm not really black. You know, that makes you think of questions like, so am I really accepted in the family? And then the other negative part of it was our prior friends that we had. You know, I had a lot of Black American friends. He had a lot of interracial friends. And so us blending together, it made it very awkward when we brought our friends around each other. So that was my take on it.
That was really good. Anybody else?
I think that it's a positive effect because nothing like negative can come from people from different ethnical backgrounds, like merging. I just think it's positive. I mean, how's it bad?
Okay, I feel like it is positive if you guys both are like open to understanding each other, but it's gonna be negative like if you guys aren't open to like understanding each other's backgrounds, cultures, everything else.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
I think it just depends on the people, you know, and how they're raised. Some people are raised to stick to their ethnicity and their race, and then some people are willing to kind of broaden their horizon and go out and date whoever. It doesn't matter, but I mean, I think it's a positive effect on the community.
I agree. I feel like it opens like minds to people of just like everyone is a person, and it's just like you shouldn't judge somebody just based off of their ethnicity. And so I really like y'all's answers. You guys gotta fight.
I just want to say love has no color.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I just want to put a spin on the discussion question. Like, so we just talking about the community in general, but I guess I would ask, do you think interracial marriage, have a positive or negative effect on which community, like, or the black community or the white community, like the specific communities? Is what I wanted to just throw there, mix it up.
Yeah. Anybody?
Oh, yeah. All right, so yeah, I can articulate better for you.
She said your question was due.
I didn't say that.
No, I can articulate what I'm trying to say to you
Okay.
better. What I'm saying is, so if you have a white couple, a white and black couple, does it have a negative effect on, or positive effect on the black culture or the white culture, or both? Is what I'm saying. Because when you talk about community, you talk about community as a whole. Now, if a black man or a white or black woman go out their race, is that a negative effect to their race or their culture, or positive effect? And the same thing for a white female or a white male. Is what I'm asking. So I'm just making it a little more intellectual.
I think it just depends on like the people, and in like you know how you're saying like the community, like it depends on those people and how, because you know how like once you have your mindset to something, it's really hard to change what you already think. So if you're already thinking a certain way, it's really hard to change that. But then being an interracial couple, it can help them understand like, okay, it's not like he said, love has no color. You know what I mean? So I think it just depends on them.
Yeah. Because it could be negative for some other people.
Right.
Because like you said, people usually don't change once they make their mind up, and like some people would just be totally against it, and that could take a negative effect on the community too, because then people are angry.
Right.
Yeah.
And so.
And I asked that question because, I mean, I understand a little bit, but for me in my relationship, because of the influence I have in my community, I think about it, would that make a difference to the people who look up to me? And do that make a difference to my elders? So when you think about a negative effect, it make a difference. Will my little brother going to see, because I date a white woman, will he feel like he needs to do that? You know, because people follow, you are a leader in your community. Depending on who you are, you have effect on your siblings and other people in the community. That has came up in my thought process by dating this white woman. Would it degrade a black woman, which like my mother and things like that, that question comes up. So that's why I asked. Huh?
I wanted to ask something like that.
That's kind of what I was asking. It was like my joke with booty. That's kind of.
I was just translating what she was saying. She didn't want to be rude.
So that's why it was like a negative positive effect on the culture.
I mean, I think it depends. Like, I know me having like 2 black parents that I want someone that's like my dad. Like, it depends on your relationship with your parents. Like, if you have your relationship with your mother, you're probably gonna want to date someone of her, like that's like her. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes that has an effect on the color of her skin, that kind of stuff. So it just depends on you also. So, but like me personally, I know that I want to be with a black man. I mean, that's just like how I was raised. So it just depends on you.
And essentially, what I was just trying to get to is, you have any siblings? So, because you want to date a black man, say you was to date a white man, you think that'll affect their perception on their dating relationship? And sometimes it could.
It can.
So that's what I was saying. Would you think that'd be a negative or positive effect into your community? The community of your household, the community of your neighborhood, the community of your culture?
I'll take
For
that.
me, I think it. Oh,
Yeah.
you
No, you got it. You got it.
For me, I think it will be positive just because it'll show that, like, you should just go with what you feel inside and not what everybody else is doing, you know? So.
I'd also like to say that who you date has nothing to do with your community. Who you date is solely who you date. You're not dating the community. I was created from an interracial marriage. So I am yes to them. And also, I like to say that it was something I had to say, but it was something in regards to that. Oh, the main objective of everything is love, and we all want to love each other, different races, different backgrounds, we want to love each other. So there should be no problem with the white person and the black person loving each other. So it doesn't matter how that makes anybody else feel or how that looks. If our goal is love and for everybody to love each other, it should be a win-win.
Yeah. With that, to answer your question, for me personally, I think it can be positive and negative depending on the expressed intentions on the person. It's always brought up when I was bringing this up to my family and my friends. A response I always got was, well, why would you want to marry, or why would you want to be in a relationship with someone who's not in your race? And my sister-in-law phrased it like, if you're saying you want to be with this person of a different race because you don't like black women, please give your reason as to why you don't like black women. Please give and that goes for all races. If you don't like your own race, please give the reason. And with that, I always responded, or not always responded, because I've had changing views since I've been growing up, but I find that it is better if you don't like your race, don't say that you don't like your race. Say that I find this race attractive as well. I find that this race or this woman makes me feel things I didn't feel before. You don't have to degrade someone else just because you like something else. And people shouldn't degrade you because you like something else. And within my friends, there's a strong love for Asians. I don't share that affinity, but they love Asian women. And that's okay. I married a black woman. That's cool. I still have love for everyone, though. So. Y'all tripping.
Okay. Anybody else? Oh.
Could I add to like the question? Because I always find like things like with people like mixed kids, and they always have I don't want to say a problem, but like my sister, my younger sister, she is mixed because my dad's black and her mom was white, or is white, sorry. And I feel like we're kind of not worried about it, but we just have thoughts about like what happens when people ask like are you black, are you white, what are you? Because a lot of times people like kids get made fun of because of the color of their skin, and they're like, oh, why is your hair curly? Like, you know, like growing up, like I had that problem, like why aren't you mixed and you like have this kind of hair, or you're this color, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like I'm not gonna say I'm worried about it, but because she's around like all white kids, because her mom like has her majority of the time, that they're gonna like, you know, call her out of her name, or, you know, stuff like that. So I kind of wanted to see if anyone else had anything to add to that.
I think that's what I was getting to. So honestly, I mean, this is I came because this is a really dope. I like this topic. This is a topic that my views have changed throughout the years. But that's what I meant by like that community part. Because I look at it like, okay, I have a younger sister, and it is a fact in the world that we live in that black women are degraded throughout media and things like that. You know, now we're trying to empower black women by going to natural look and stuff like that, and all this stuff that we're doing to empower our culture and black women. So that's why I get back. So I'm definitely an advocate of that. So by dating a white woman, am I telling my sister like don't, you know what I'm saying? Not telling her like saying it out of my mouth, but by my actions, what she see, because children and people who follow you perceive things differently. So unconsciously she may be like, oh well, my brother, she looks up to me, so my brother dates a white woman, let me look more like that. And that's what the effects I'm talking about in the community. And I do think it has an effect in the community. And it'll get deeper, and I don't want to get that deep, but you know, different hair that black women wear and things like that. I think it's typical. You know, it's like, oh, that's not our culture style, but that's like a more white European style of hair. So am I telling my sister, hey, don't wear your natural hair, look more like my wife? You know what I'm saying? Unconsciously, like I'm not telling her that, or nobody's teaching her that, but unconsciously you see it. She sees it, and she's like, you know, dope. So that's what I was at.
Right. I just wanted to say, y'all mentioned siblings and, you know, how people look up to you and everything. I always structure my thought process in, one person can't change the whole community, but what that one person can do is change their grid square. So whomever they are around, that's immediate to them. Because if you can change your grid square and each person change their grid square, when you put all those squares together, it'll eventually affect what's going on the outside. So like, I'm gonna educate my daughter who's interracial. I'm gonna educate her to love herself, to love her hair, her natural curly hair, and to embrace that. And I'm gonna teach her how to portray that to her friends. So if they do have a negative content on her, she can say, well, that's okay about how you feel, but this is how I do things, this is how I'm gonna wear my hair, this is how I'm gonna dress. And maybe her positivity may spread to the next person and then to the next person. So that way, eventually, people are not looking or thinking and you don't know. I think it's more of a, let's educate our siblings, let's educate our family. I mean, because we do come from times where things have slowly changed into people being into interracial relationships, and a lot of people, you know, the grandmas or the grandpas, or just the way I grew up, we were all dated the same race. So I think it's more of an educational component, and taking your sister or your brother or your niece or nephew and saying, hey, let me sit down and let me talk to you. How do you feel about this person? Well, let me give you some feedback about what it really is. Get them to thinking instead of them starting to assume things. So.
if you were in an interracial relationship.
Imagine yourself.
Yeah, imagine that.
If
You
you're
said you
not.
got something for your mom.
And don't be calling people out. That's so for us all.
Nah,
I mean, how you gonna act?
I mean, I'm gonna act my normal self. But I know I ain't gonna get out of character.
Well, I guess depending on the way someone comes up to you.
I mean, it depends on the way somebody comes to me, yeah.
Like if it's really
But
aggressive.
I'm more so worried about her, because she's the person that's gonna voice her opinion. So I'm
Yeah, you can hold her back.
she's the I'm like in a relationship, I'm more so the calm one. She's the one that's gonna pop off at the mouth. Like with no hesitation. And so I know for a fact that I'm gonna have to hold her back, and it's just like I said, it just depends on the situation. If I'm gonna have to come out of character or not. Normally I won't. I'll just be calm about the situation because I don't really want to take it further than where it can go. I don't want to go that far, but I know for a fact that she probably will just go in, and I'm just like, hey baby, chill out, bro. We ain't got time for this, and then she's gonna just keep on going. Like it's bad, but I mean, she just really defensive. And, yeah, so, I mean, it's depends on the situation for her.
If they come up to you in like a nice way and then they, calmly ask you about your relationship, I mean, you can tell them, but if not, and if it does escalate, you can always just walk away and be like, forget it. Because y'all know what y'all stand for, and you don't have to prove anything to anybody. So,
That's what we agree. Like personally in our relationship, that's exactly like what we agree on. Is that like if someone were to ever, we just keep moving because we love each other, so we don't have to please them.
All right, next question. If you were in an interracial relationship, would you be scared to tell your parents? Again, imagine if you were in one of your relationships.
No, like honestly, I wouldn't because of the simple fact. Like I've seen, in 22 years, I've seen so many people try to find love and fail miserably at it. If I find somebody that treats me right and loves me for me, and I love them, it shouldn't matter whether she's black, white, Asian, Hispanic, orange, blue, or from another planet. Like, it doesn't matter. Lois and James will just have to deal with it. And Lois and James are my parents, if y'all didn't know. I'm just saying. But yeah.
Okay, so I feel like this question is really funny because, like, for me and my parents, it's really hilarious how it is because, like, one day I could be dating somebody who's black, the next day it could be, like, somebody who's, like, Chinese, and then it's just, like, a funny little game, basically. So I'll be like, I've met somebody, and they're like, okay, you met somebody, and I'm like, wait till I bring him in, and they're like, oh, gosh, and I'm like, surprise, he's from Sudan. So it's just hilarious how some people are, like, kind of afraid to bring them home because they need to have that openness with their parents, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. So it really wasn't a parent thing for me, but it was like my brother, because my brother, he is like for, same race relationships. So I never dated a black person until recently. Like all of my past relationships was Latina because I just love Latino people. So when I finally told my brother about, the black person, he was just like, it's about time. So I wasn't so much as scared, but I guess it was something that pleased him or in a way. So I had to learn you can't have validation. You have to have validation within yourself instead of having validation into what other people have to say. If it's your parents, if it's your cousins, if it's your your brother, So it shouldn't matter. So as long as you're comfortable with the person, then that's what matters the most.
Personally, I want love. But like my mom, on the other hand, a whole different story right there. She preaching to me, black queens. If you can't use your comb, don't bring it home. I'm so serious. Like my mom told me, when I first, like before I even stepped foot on Avery, when I committed to Avery, she said, "You better not bring a white girl home." It's not that she don't got nothing against y'all. She just don't like. For her, she wouldn't want me to love somebody outside of my race. And honestly, I couldn't even tell you why. Like, I really never questioned it. But at the same time, I feel in my heart, if you look good, you look damn good. and if I find interest and we find interest, and if we find interest in each other and we kicking it and like we love each other and we like each other, then you know what I'm saying. That's just how it's gonna be. Like Barbara gonna have to deal with that. But at the same time, it's always still like kind of in the back of my head when I am out here like searching for that one. You know.
I wouldn't be scared to tell my parents just because I was brought up in love. So like me dating outside my race, like that's not a problem. That's like the least of who cares. Like in our household, who cares? Like it's about their character, who they are as a person. Like they're just gonna take them in, you know what I'm saying? And also, I haven't really ever dated outside my race, but if I did, it wouldn't be a problem. I know that. It just all depends on like how you were raised. If you were raised around love, or if you were raised to like discriminate and hate other people, then it'd be a problem. It's not a problem for me.
Be scared to tell mama. I still ain't tell mama. Oh my God.
You want that on video?
I was raised around love.
Did you want to say something?
I was raised around love. Man, we love everybody. We don't hate them, but I haven't told my parents yet. Not because I'm hiding it or nothing like that. But delivery is key. And I know how they feel. And I come from a pro-black family. And a racist family. We like to use pro-black, but I just call them what they are. And they love. But I understand a lot of my older uncles. I mean, when you think about 2000, Alabama, you just could do it. You thinking about the law in Virginia just got changed less than 50 years ago. So if I have an uncle who's 60, he don't want me to do that because his experience was different. So it's not about love, it's about what they experienced. And we're not able to understand that experience. So that's why we can sit here and say it's wrong to say you can't bring anyone home. But I know my grandmother and I know my grandfather and my uncles, they would have died depending on who they brought home, or who they walked with, or who they whispered at, or talked to. So it's deeper than just love. So I don't like to use, I don't even say my family not love. We are a loving family, but I understand what they've been through. So my delivery, they're going to accept anything I bring. But my delivery has to be right because I understand their experience in life, which is way different from my experience.
I thought about that too, like when we were back on the question about like telling your parent, well, we still, but my parents are divorced and my dad really isn't in my life, and he was the only person that I was really like scared of to tell because my mom's side of the family is like all loving, all positivity, but my dad, just the way he grew up and like him being the age that he is, and especially his dad, and like just the way he grew up, it was totally different. And so it was like scary when I was having him meet my dad because he had no idea until he saw him in person. Like I didn't even give him a pre-warning, and it's just like you just gotta be fearless, I guess, because no matter what, even if my dad disapproved, I would have still loved Elijah because you gotta love what people. You gotta love the people that make you happy, and if someone makes you happy, you can't deny that if someone makes you happy.
Alright.
It's your turn.
How do you think we as individuals can make our world a more understanding place about race, culture, and
I had to step back, so I wanted to say something on the last. Did y'all move to the next question?
No, go ahead. You can go back to the last one.
To Kinsale, my question is, from your perspective, why do the burden have to be put on the newer generation to be sensitive to the older generation if they're not vice versa with us?
I just respect my elders. I always really respect my elders. No matter how old you are. And for me, I know how value. I know I'm my uncles. I'm the only one that went to college. I'm the only one to do well. I'm their star. I'm going to make them happy no matter what. I know what they dislike. So I don't know. I don't think the whole generation, but for myself, speaking for myself, as a man, I will take that pressure and make sure I deliver this information and the things I do in life, I think about on a daily basis. And I think about it because those are the individuals in my life who helped me get to where I am now. So my life depends on their opinion, and it matters. I know, just to finish up, I know when I bring her home, my mother, I know how she's gonna be. As long as I love her, it's gonna be fine. And that's why I seek a strong woman to take it. That's how I test my females. Any girl I bring home, I test if she can handle my mama, she can be with me. So that's why that delivery is gonna be right. But I don't think it's a burden on the generation. I don't think we should take it as a burden. It's not a burden for me. First of all, I'm doing it how I want to do it. Like, it's okay. Like, I take it.
So in your opinion, for someone who, would it be disrespectful for them to properly disagree with their elders?
No, I don't agree with my elders. Yeah, I don't agree with. I'm doing it respectfully. I think it's how you do it. I mean, if you know your mom don't want you to bring a certain race home, or your parents don't want you to, I'm not saying don't do it. I said the delivery matters. I think the delivery is respectful. I'm not gonna come in the house and say, look, Mom, I don't care what you think, I love you. I'm gonna come in the house and say, Mom, this is blah blah blah. This is how I feel about her, and I hope you can accept it. And I know, based on my delivery, Mom, I know my mother and my parents. So, but no, I don't think you should be. Then you be respectful at the same time, and you live your life. Simple as that.
Thank you. Okay. Back to the question of making a world more understanding and what's happening.
I think we do that by doing what we're doing right now. We're in here talking about it. We're in here laughing about it. We're in here making each other feel good. I feel positive vibes in this room. And it's because everybody is enjoying talking about the subject. I think if we can do this on a broader scale, and because we are in Danville, if we can introduce this to more people, I think the next generation will be more accepting of it, because we are the ones who can change our world and how our society is. I remember, bless you, when I first went to South Carolina and I was 10, and this was really my first time seeing interracial couples. And it was black men with white women, white men with black women. And I was sitting there amazed and just looking around, and asked my dad, like, why don't we see this back home? Why is everyone so against white people back home? And he said, you have to look into their minds. You have to understand, like Kinsale said, what they've experienced. And for me, like I told y'all before, I found it a joy to be in a diverse community, a joy to see diversity. So for me, if we can show more diversity, we can open up the door, or a bigger door.
Thank you guys.
Legend, Ambient hand clap one more time. Can we get a wonderful beat that shoe? No. Beat that shoe. Beat that shoe.